drill in Dimock, Pennsylvania. So Pennsylvania really does not, especially Dimock, has no concern right now for me because we wouldn't even drill there with our regulations. I can't help that Pennsylvania jumped the gun and flooded the market and let incompetent people come in and do drilling and then leave.
Right, which is what I want you to prevent.
Right, but I can't help that they did that. And our regulations are so stringent, even at these early stages, we wouldn't even drill in Dimock, is what I'm telling you. So there's no need to go there.
That's true, Senator. And what we're doing now is safe. How do you explain the fact that with even vertical fracking here in New York State, where water problems in Collins have arisen through vertical fracking?
You know what, vertical fracking's been going on longer than I've been born.
Yeah, but does that mean it's safe in every instance?
It has been going on longer than I've been born, and I don't have any studies in front of me that show vertical fracking causes any sort of pollution or causes any sort of disease.
So nobody's calling for that study.
Okay, and you and I don't have a proper scientific study of that. But then there's anecdotal information where people's wells are being blown out and they're undrinkable when this is happening suddenly next to them. Why isn't there a study being done?
Not on the vertical fracking. And if you take a look at the
maybe you should go talk to those people.
If you take a look at the SGIS regulations that are actually, somewhat what they're talking about in place, there are tests that would be done if this process went forward prior. Now in Pennsylvania, they never did any testing on any wells, either prior, during. They did it afterwards. Okay, these are tests that would be done prior, during, and after a 5 to 6 day fracking of a wellhead, if that does take place in New York.
It's also too late.
If it does, yeah.
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
Can I ask you about your legislation?
But at the time right now, there is no money in the budget. There is no money for the DEC. The DEC has been gutted. And when he talked to Commissioner Martinez, he said, "What's this process?
The DEC to regulate things is going to be the solution."
Well, no. I mean, they're saying this process is not. No, he said that the process will not go forward without proper regulation and without funding.
As part of the Environmental Conservation Committee in Albany, don't you think that it's your place to protect the environment rather than try and look for loopholes for business?
I'm not trying to look for loopholes for businesses. You know what? You always seem to be the one individual that tries to put words in my mouth, and I'm not going to let you do that.
Well, is it true that you are?
Listen. You don't need to raise your voice. I'm talking calm. What I said to you is that I am not making a final determination on high volume hydrofracking until the final SGIS report is done. I have 6 bills now that I'm introducing in my committee.
For more
Those
regulation.
6 particular bills are targeting specific areas that are lacking in the SGIS report.
Don't you think it's your responsibility to protect our drinking water?
Are you going to let me finish?
Are you going to let me finish and answer the questions that we're asking?
I am protecting your drinking water. I've done it with the water withdrawal bill. I've done it with other regulations that are on there. And until a final report is done from the DEC, then that's something we will talk about.
Senator, how do your bills protect against leaks, spills, accidents, illegal dumping? How does regulation protect against any of that?
If it goes forward, there's actually reporting requirements, not within 24 hours, within 2 hours.
Sure, so they're going to report themselves when they're being fined $25,000 a day that the problem persists.
No,
so the industry, you're relying on industry self-reporting.
There's tracking mechanisms that are in place.
Who, DEC on the ground? They have no staff.
They have
no staff out there on every well site.
I've had an open door policy. I've had 4 to 6 meetings at least, not only with you, but with other groups. I have had you come to hearings. I have had you come to press conferences. I had you at the press conference, which you spoke at, and you spoke about mistruths at the press conference. And you know what? That's not a proper relationship to have, especially when you have top environmental groups in this area and across the state that back these 6 bills. Okay, I'm going to go in for the town of Townhall.
Who are they?
They're not being lobbied by huge dollar amounts. And you know what? And if you take a look at what you guys try to put out there, any contribution, whether it's from I actually have gotten more money from environmental groups than I have from independent oil and gas companies.
Thank you very much.